What's up, friends? Today's topic is on Azure Data Factory Lookup activity. What is a lookup activity? According to Microsoft, lookup activities can retrieve a dataset from any of the data sources supported by Data Factory and as well as Synapse pipelines. You can use it to dynamically determine which objects to operate on in a subsequent activity instead of hard coding the object name. In very short, what I meant was that you can set up parallel threaded high performance CRUD operations as a consequent activity to a lookup activity. So suppose you have a voluminous record set and you want to do various kinds of CRUD updates activities onto it. So you can append any further activity along with it using to a lookup activity. You can cascade multiple pipelines one next to another, and you can also securely set up linked services to talk to large number of components. Say, for example, you can talk to Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, CE, Business Central, Azure Blob Storage, Azure SQL, just to name a few of them. You can process up to 5,000 records in a lookup activity without much of a challenge, although further processing is still possible with small customization. This video is going to show you how to use a lookup activity using very simple example, just without using any line of code. So guys, watch out. Okay, to do this, let me take you to my Azure portal, and just for the demo purpose, what I've done is that I've created an Azure Data Factory out here, and along with it I've also created a SQL, Azure SQL. So my Azure SQL looks a lot like this. If I get into my Azure SQL, so here is my Azure SQL, and inside this I have created a sample database. I've installed a sample database. So if I take you to my sample database, what I've done is that I have connected to my SSMS SQL Server Managing Services Management Studio, and I have these are the different tables of my installed database, and these are the tables, and along with this customer table, I have created one field known as the gender. So essentially what gender is doing is that it's a string type field. It's empty. The idea is I am going to use Azure Data Factory to update this gender column. What I will do is that I have created a stored procedure for this. What is this going to do is that this is going to accept the customer ID and the salutation. So there is a variable called salutation. I have created a variable, incoming variable, and I have checking a condition like if the salutation is equal to miss, then it should update the gender as female, and if it is equal to Mr. or Mr, just Mr dot or just Mr, then it should update as male. And if all these conditions are failing, then it should update this as unknown. So if I come back to my and along with that, just for I have executed this firewall rule as allow Azure 00200, which is going to allow all the otherwise this is not going to let your data factory to access your Azure SQL. Okay, so all done. I'm going to call this stored procedure, and so if you come to the data of my customer table, you would see there are certain rows that are coming with Mr. and certain rows are coming with Mrs. So accordingly, the stored procedure is going to update the row. So I'm passing on my customer ID and I'm passing on my title. Okay, and I'm going to update this column. So let me come back to my Azure SQL, and let me come back to my data factory, and let me create a new pipeline. So this pipeline, what I'll do is that I will search from here the activities, and I'll search for my lookup activity, and let me drag and drop this guy right out here, and let me rename this as lookup customers. Now I will connect my lookup customer, this activity, with my Azure SQL. And to do this, I will right click on this new, and I will search for Azure SQL out here. I'm clicking this and I'm continuing this, and I will create a new linked service. And always we should remember to use a legacy system, otherwise there are going to be various challenges. Okay, so I am taking my Azure subscription as all, and I'm going to take my server name from here. I'm going to take my database name from here. Authentication type, I preferably you should go with system assigned managed identity or service principal or user managed identity. But for our demo purpose, I'm selecting SQL authentication for just for this demo. And I am doing what? I am passing on my user ID and my password out here. Okay, just a moment. And let me test the connection out here like this. It should succeed. It went successful, and I'm creating it. So once I create this, it is going to take a couple of moments, and it got successful, and it's going to load you all the available table names, and I'm going to select my customer out here. Okay, so I can select manually, or I can select from the drop down itself. So I'm pressing OK. So essentially what it will do is that it will create a linked service with the connection to the customer table. So if I select the first row, I can additionally test out if the data is coming properly or not. I can click on preview data, and I will see my data is flowing. It's coming properly. Okay. So yeah, I must strike out my first row only, otherwise you will see what will happen. Okay, so this is actually you have created the look of customers, the first step. Now I will add a for each. So I am creating my for each here, and my for each is basically going to have a connection with the previous step. So I'm connecting this. So inside my for each, I'm setting up the settings from here, the batch count. So this is the most interesting part of the whole story, where actually I can give the number of parallel executable threads. You can give any number from 1 to 50, and I'm choosing 50 as my number of parallel threads. And items, I'm choosing from my add dynamic content, and I'm selecting output from here, lookup customers dot output, and I'm giving dot value. And when I'm doing that, I'm pressing OK. And inside for each, I'm going to call my stored procedure from here. So I'm clicking on this plus sign, and I'm selecting the stored procedures. Yes, it got. I selected it. Now I'm going to configure my stored procedure from inside. So if you are going to select the first record only, so here inside for each, this is always going to be the first record and not going to be an array. So consequently, your for each won't succeed, and it will error out, because it is considering only one record, just one record, not an array of records, and eventually it will error out. So I'm coming to the next step, that is coming to my stored procedures, and I'm coming to my settings, and I'm selecting my linked service from here, which is this one. And I am just for safety's sake, I'm just double checking if everything is okay. It's testing the connection, and it went successful. And I am finding out that what is my stored procedure name. So what is my stored procedure name? My stored procedure name was this one, sp underscore update customer gender. So I am going to select my stored procedure name from here, and I'm also going to import. So when I do this, and that's just going to import, when I'm clicking import, it is going to populate all the parameters from here. So if you remember, we created two parameters, incoming parameters. So first parameter is the customer ID and the second parameter is the salutation. So I am going to feed in the customer ID by clicking on the add dynamic content from here, just clicking on for each, and then I'm pressing dot and I'm going to select the name of the column that I'm going to manipulate, and I'm saying OK. So it got populated, and the next parameter I'm selecting once again, and I'm selecting for each once again, and I'm selecting the name of the column once again, which is our case title. So you see it is going to come automatically, and I'm saying OK. So when I say that and I'm going to save validate all, it should allow me saying that yeah, it went fine. So I'm closing it. So when I'm going to close it, and next time I am going to do a publish all, it's going to take a couple of moments to get it published. Yeah, and it's going on. It's still saying as publishing, and just after this I'm gonna trigger my add trigger, which is eventually going to put my pipeline into action. So I'm adding the trigger and trigger now. So I'm triggering it right away, and it's going to take a while to start the pipeline, and you will see the whole execution is going to split up into threads of 50 50 50, and there are very huge amount of records right away. And if I take you back to my monitor, I would see, if I let me refresh this, it's in progress, and you would see it is already going to update this. So lot of records have got updated in the meanwhile. If it is a male or a female or an unknown, and still continuing to do so. And yeah, let it continue. And last time it got over in 2 minutes 58 seconds. Nevertheless, I am also going to wait for it for some time and pause my recording till here. And yes, in no time, it got succeeded after 2 minutes of 41 seconds of run. And yes, it's successful. So if I come back to my SQL and check out what is the status of my gender column, I'd see that it has successfully updated everything. View, what a nice shot from Data Factory. Like, it's an awesome tool whereby you can set up a multi-threaded execution of a humongous record set just in no time. Stay tuned and subscribe to my channel for more such cool updates. See you soon, friends. Bye for now.